The past 10 days of my life have been a crazy whirlwind, to say the least. I have the luxury of talking to people almost on a daily basis where they feel enough trust to share with me their stories of struggle. And then also share with me the things that they implement into their life to come through that struggle. It's humbling for me, but it's also very inspiring because I learned so many things about myself by listening to these people that I begin to hear some things that are very common within us as individuals, that I understand why we do the things that we do. I come here to the gym as much as I possibly can with specific goals in mind, because I know that when I come here and I begin my workout, I see my strength increasing every week. But you see, the only way that is actually able to happen is because if I come in here and let's say starting with 100 pounds here, and I want to, let's say, lift 200 pounds here, how do I go through this gap? And I've learned that this gap is overcome by having courage. The courage enough to come through the struggle. The courage enough to start moving from where I'm at and start heading to where I want to go. You see, to come in and say, I can lift 100 pounds today, and by the end of today, I'm going to lift 200. Well, for most of the time, that's just not possible. It requires patience, consistency, and a tenacity to want to push myself every day. But you see, it's this gap that we deal with where we're at to where we want to end up, where we struggle as people. We are fearful of pain. We're fearful of struggle because we're afraid that it's going to cause a change in our life, even though we want change. But the reason why we get caught up in this and why this always remains this gap, many times getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, because we are listening to the lies that we are telling ourselves that this is just who we are. The greatest example that I see is someone put this on Facebook today that I saw that had an x-ray of a very large obese individual and a very thin individual. And the caption said, "Big boned? Really?" The skeletons were identical. The shape and density of the bones were almost identical. But you see, it's believing that lie that I'm big boned that now you begin to feed yourself into this stupor of destruction and ending up 4, 5, 6, 700 pounds overweight. And then having to deal with all the health effects of knee reconstruction, diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, depression. And at some point you end up hopeless. Why bother trying to change now? It's just gone too far. I'm too big. I'm just big boned. That's just how I am. Here's some other behavior patterns that we get stuck in, and the gaps many times continue to grow. Drug addiction. Honestly, who woke up and said, I'm going to be a drug addict? Nobody. Nobody wakes up and goes, you know what? I'm going to just be in a perpetual series of abusive relationships. Nobody ends up in a relationship getting the tar beat out of them from the get-go, from day one. And the abuser never starts in the relationship beating the crap out of you from the very first date. It's a progressive scale. And we let the lies and the blinders of our life saying, well, the person, they were a little angry, they were upset. And then you start telling yourself, well, my parents always fought. Fighting is natural in relationships. Until you've allowed this behavior to occur within yourself and in this relationship. You don't wake up one day going, I want to just drink myself into a drunken stupor every night and become an alcoholic. That just doesn't happen. People don't aspire to do that. But by choices every day, you come farther and farther away from a better you. By allowing circumstances to really overwhelm us. But you say, MD, that's me. That's exactly where I'm at. I have an eating disorder. And I don't know how to stop. I need a hit. Life is just too hard. I just lost my job, or, my spouse has been cheating on me, or, my kids are gone, and I'm in this relationship that is just dead end. I've got this dead end job, or I just lost my job. The financial pressures of life that I'm in, and life's just too much. This is just what I do to cope. And you see what you're doing is you're throwing more and more shit from life on top of this fire that we all have within ourselves. Even as shy and timid as a lot of us are, there is still this fire within us. But you see, we are smothering it by the lies we tell ourselves. My life is a series of ruts, trenches, and pits of quicksand where I was stuck over and over again. Caught up in lies, I was telling myself that this is just where I'm at in my life. This is just how life is. But there came a point when I had to have enough courage to say, I've had it with being here. I'm done. I'm sick of where I'm at, and I want to get here. I don't know how to get here completely, but I'm going to start. And little by little every day, I instigate the struggle. I instigate the pains of growth, the change that needs to occur to get out of where I am. Being overwhelmed in life is like being held underwater. And if you can remember sometimes playing chicken or playing some kind of game in the pool and getting stuck underwater, and all of a sudden fighting for your life because you just need a breath of air to survive, because if you are held down underwater anymore, you could possibly drown. You may already feel like you're drowning in life because of everything that's going on with your drug addiction, with your alcoholism, with your abusive relationships, with your obesity and food addictions, with your eating disorders, with all these self-destructive behaviors, and you're feeling like you're just being suffocated because everything is just coming on top of you, and your mom and dad could be on you, your spouse could be all over you because you just can't seem to do anything right, your boss is all over your shit, you just can't seem to get things done, and your kids are needing this, and your friends are needing that, and oh my God, I just can't seem to do anything right, so why bother? You're smothering the fire within yourself to have the courage to go from here to here. I want you to look back in your life. Seriously, take a good look at where you've come from. But look at it not in fear of where you can end back up, because you won't. That's only up to you. That is only your decision. No one makes you go back. But to look at the trenches and the struggles that you've come through to get to where you are today, however you did it, but you did it, and take pride in yourself. Because only until you first respect yourself now with who you are, will anyone in your life be able to respect you. But you see, it doesn't matter what people think about where you are. It doesn't matter how many people are proud of you. It doesn't matter how many people love you. It doesn't matter how many people hate you or are angry with you or disappointed in you because of your making changes in your life that they don't agree with necessarily. But you see, making positive change for you to like it because it's a reflection on them about what they could be doing. But forget about what they do. Focus on improving you, reminding yourself where you've come from, being excited about where you are, and knowing you're headed somewhere else, somewhere better. Okay? Coming in this gym reminds me about what I'm able to actually do. That I start here, and I leave the gym here. Next week, I'm going to start here, and I'm going to end here. You see, every week is this progress, steps of progress. You see, coming through sobriety, coming through personal behavior problems requires steps. There's a 12-step program. There's 30, 60, 90-day rehab, not one-day rehab. You see, because by listening to the lies for years, you cannot change this overnight. There has to be patience. But to have the patience for the long haul, you've got to be so passionate. You've got to get all that shit in your life and the lies that is smothering that one coal. That one coal that still has a spark, that still has that fire, and then let it breathe. Fuel it with the courage to stand up, the courage to fight for your life because you are drowning in the lies that you tell yourself because you just don't realize you actually have the courage. You see, to have courage, you must have fear. We all have within us so much fear. The fear of failure and the fear of success. The fear of ending up back where we started, and the fear of ending up where we actually want to go, and then wondering, what are we going to do then? But you see, in the presence of fear, there is an overwhelming amount of courage. So if you are afraid, you are also courageous. You are courageous enough to fight, to take a breath, to be able to step up and be better. If you're a drug addict, if you're dealing with alcoholism, if you're in an abusive relationship, or if you yourself are the abuser, if you have an eating disorder, or if you are obese, or if you are just one of those negative people that never seems to be able to find happiness in life, you see, all of this is because you decided to start this behavior pattern at some point. But it is up to you to have the courage and respect in yourself enough to want change. True change you're willing to fight for, change you're willing to drag all that crap that's on top of you that's keeping you suppressed and oppressed and depressed and wondering, how can I be better? But you see, this is how you can be better, by forgetting about the struggles that you had, but reminding yourself what you've come from, knowing where you are, and then seeing where you are headed. I don't care if you're shy or timid. You have a fire within you. You just have to have the courage to let it out. Because when you do, it's like letting out the 12 thoroughbreds, racing for the finish line, fighting for that chance, fighting to get to the line. You're like that runner in the blocks. All that power, all that courage, all that fight that is within you. That fight you've got to let out. If you're so dissatisfied with the life that you have, with your addictions and your self-destructive behaviors and the abusive relationships and those that you abuse and even abusing yourself, if you look in the mirror and you look at yourself and you say, how did I get here? Then you are the person that needs to stand up with some courage and get out of the quicksand and fight for that breath, because you are drowning in the lies of life. But it's only you that can stop listening to the lies and start telling yourself truth, believe in yourself, have respect in yourself, and have the courage to stand up and instigate those changes necessary to move forward. 2 words, people. Right here. I decide. You decided to start these self-destructive behaviors way back then. Remind yourself where you came from. Because it doesn't show that you're weak. It shows your struggle. And in that struggle, there is victory because you ended up now here. Here at this moment. This moment of truth and realization that you now have a better plan for yourself. Now, I encourage you, if you don't know how to get started, find somebody, ask someone questions, get help. Because you ended up here on your own with these issues, with these problems, with these addictions, and you cannot get through this on your own. Find the people with the answers. Because if you really want help, pride is not the issue. Because pride will come when you overcome these problems. Courage will come because you now decide to stand up and fight for yourself and have respect with yourself enough to want to see change and get out of the mediocrity, get out of the lies, get out of the struggle, get out of the quicksand of life and breathe. Breathe. And let that fire within you grow. And let that passion within you grow even further. To where it is an all-consuming fire. That no matter what happens in life, no matter what negativity, no matter what temptation, you are so focused and so hell-bent on pursuing a better you that that shit will not even have a hold on you. Because you are holding on to something else, not holding on to the crutches of the things that held you back in the past, but holding on to a greater future. Because it's all of two words, because you decided to instigate the changes necessary. You decided to put the tools in place. You decided to ask for the help, and you decided to go in daily and instigate the steps necessary to go from here to here. And then one day, you might actually get there because you decided to. I'm Michael-David.